Birdman for Birdman on the Mountain here at the Village 8 Theaters for the White Mountain Films Festival. And now I'm hanging out with a gentleman that this area should certainly know, Mr. Travis Walton. How are you, sir?
Hi, how are you? I'm happy to be with you.
Cool. So your film is showing Sunday, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is your film?
Well, it's about my experience, a UFO incident that occurred back in 1975 up on the Moyan Rim. And it was made into the movie Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
But that's not the film that's showing. The film that's showing is a documentary.
Okay.
It's never been broadcast. It's been in like 30 other film festivals, but it's yet to be taken up by broadcasters. So it's something a lot of people haven't seen, but really well-made film. Interviews with all of the crew, sheriff, deputies, polygraph examiner, a lot of researchers, a pretty thorough examination in terms of interviews and filming at the site.
Right.
With UFO researchers in the field.
Now, I've always been curious because, obviously you, Fire in the Sky, you brought that up. Fire in the Sky, how accurate was it to the overall experience, or was it Hollywoodized?
It's Hollywood, of course, as you would expect, And over the years, I've compared other real life stories that were made into movies, and it's pretty routine for Hollywood to do that.
Yeah.
The Bruce Lee story, if you've seen the movie and you know the real life story, Gorillas in the Mist, same thing. Hollywood is a creative place, and they love to get creative.
Sure they do. Yeah, and I know John Tegan from the 13 Hours, the Benghazi story, and he was about the same way. He's like, yeah, I don't really remember that bus blowing up, but, things like that. So, but overall, you said you've been to a lot of different film festivals, correct? And especially with this movie?
Yeah.
What's your feel for this film festival? How are they doing?
Oh, this was great. I was at some where some of the actors were present, and stuff like that. But at one film festival, James Garner, who played the sheriff in the movie, actually came to the film festival with this specific purpose to inform me that her father, James Garner, had regretted playing the part of the skeptic, the sheriff.
Oh, wow.
In the sense, because
Right.
he did believe us, but that's kind of ironic too, because the real life sheriff kind of postured publicly as a skeptic, while privately his friends and relatives said he was a believer too.
Yeah.
He'd had his own experience. A lot of people didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this area, how much is it since that time frame? The area, the White Mountains, and of course that was more toward Heber Overgaard, correct, where it happened?
That's true.
Okay, but up into this area. So just growing up and being in this area, how much has the area changed?
Oh, it's changed dramatically. It's a real popular area. It was relatively undeveloped back then, and a lot of people have come in, and it's I think. From my personal experience, the reaction to me and my coworkers was pretty negative at first. People were frightened, and they, didn't want it to be true, so they, decided not to believe it, and then gathered information to support that. But it was painful, for everybody involved. Every one of the crew experienced things, The youngest guy in the crew went to his mom after he'd passed the lie detector test with the sheriff and said, I told you we didn't kill him. And it really, kind of tugs at my heart to think that, that his mother would rather believe he'd murdered somebody than
Something else had happened.
Than something had happened. But, I would go out into the community at that time, and I'd see people that I knew, and they would pretend they didn't know me. And so it's changed. Now I go out, and people I don't know pretend they do know me.
Right. Very interesting. It was funny. A friend of mine for our wedding came up, and Rob Granger is a good friend of mine that I worked with in magazines out in New York, and he was driving up, so he had to drive up out of Phoenix and came up through the area, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey, this is Heber Overgaard." I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, isn't that where that movie was made? I'm like, well, that's where it actually happened. Yeah, okay, I got to hang up. So he was a little weirded out going through the area.
Yeah, don't want to miss anything. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah.
I think people do need to. It's, when I sign autographs very often, that's one of the comments I put on there is keep an eye on the sky.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, I want to thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's Travis Walton, and we hope to see you around more. And maybe somebody will pick up your documentary. That'd be interesting to see in more mass distribution.
That's definitely coming.
Very good. Awesome. Hey, this is Birdman. Once again, check out all the other episodes of the Village 8 White Mountains Film Festival here in Pine Top Lakeside at the Village 8, of course. I'm Birdman reminding you, if I don't see you around town, I'll get you right here on the web.